Hey, what is happening to all of you? That's quite okay. My name is Jamel Tony.
Hey everyone, I'm Lakeisha, and welcome to Progressively Becoming. Thank you for joining us for another conversation. As always, as you're getting on, make sure you like, comment, and share, and let someone know PB is on now. And we are in the building every Tuesday, right here, 7 p.m. sharp.
Good evening to all of you. Good morning, those of you that is watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, even on our website, www.progressivelybecoming.com. Those of you that are watching us on our website now, what's happening to all of you? Those of you that will be listening to us on our podcast, which is released shortly after this live ends. Good morning, good evening to all of you, whatever time you may be listening to us. What's happening to all of our podcast listeners, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If you haven't already, download it, our podcast. Go ahead, download the podcast. We release content on that podcast every month. And if you don't have it, you'll be missing out. So go ahead and do us a favor and grab that conversation. Yeah. Grab that avenue now. I'm all over the place today.
Yeah,
my beard looks tore up.
We was busy today coming on, y'all.
Been running around like like a madman.
We was busy getting on it. I know y'all probably read my lips coming on. I'm like, I think my mic was on because we was doing a lot.
It's a lot happening.
It's a lot going on here.
At Progressively Becoming / the place of exchange / Tony headquarters.
Thank you, Sister Carter.
Pray our strength in the Lord.
Yes.
But again, I'm so glad that all of you have decided to tune on this evening.
Yes, so we thank you always for joining us. We thank y'all for y'all support. Y'all continue support every week to us on all of our podcasts. We appreciate you. We love all of y'all. This Thursday, 6 a.m. morning devotion. Make sure you're there. We're going to be praying for you, praying with you. As always, we seek prayer every Thursday, 6 a.m. We believe in the power of prayer, and we will continue to be on that line every Thursday at 6 a.m. no matter what. So we thank y'all for joining us on those Thursdays. They are powerful every single week. So tell someone about it, tag someone, bring someone, grab someone. Just be there.
Yeah, we want to pray. Go ahead and go to our website. Put in your prayer requests. We have a mandate not only to pray with you, but to pray for you as well. As my wife said, we believe in the power of prayer. We'll be doing that every Thursday at 6 a.m.
Exactly. And as we've been mentioning for the last few weeks, and we will continue to mention for a while, we are doing a clothing and coat drive giveaway. So we are soliciting if you have any used or gently used coats or clothes. Please let us know. You can text 855-997-3031. Let us know that you want to donate, what items you want to donate. We can discuss pickup, drop-off locations at that time. If you have hats, scarf, gloves, whatever you have, and we're taking it for adults, men and women, and for children, all ages. So make sure, if you have stuff in your closet that you cleaned out, don't throw them away, give them to us. Just text that number 855-997-3031.
And some of us need to clean out our closets. Like, let's just be real. If you haven't worn it in 2 years or so, it's a strong possibility that you're not going to wear it again. Right? Like I have this one sweater in my closet. I promise you, every time I look at it, to donate it, I'm like, nah, I can't give it to this because I'm wearing it. And that was like 5 years ago. I haven't worn it yet. So our prayer is that the ability to release comes over you.
Right.
And let it go. Yeah.
And Tiffany, we're taking baby clothes as well, so we appreciate that you have. So if you're willing to donate, just text us, then we'll set that up with you. So we appreciate it as well.
Absolutely. Every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Place of Exchange, the ministry that God has called all of us. RJ, the ministry that God has called all of you got me all messed up, has called my wife and I to launch every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Sunday Exchange. Prayer, praise, worship. We believe in communicating with our Father, providing biblical instruction and inspiration on how we can live a life that God so desperately desires us to live. We believe because of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, there can always be an exchange in your life. Meet us on all of our streaming outlets on Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
As you can see, we're wearing our Got Vision shirt, so y'all know what that means.
Because if you don't have vision, you will wander aimlessly in this world trying to find out where you're supposed to go. You need vision. Yes. Can you throw that in the comment? Vision, vision, vision.
And we got vision for you. So the store is up, y'all, on our website, progressivelybecoming.com. If you go on there, click on the word store, you will be able to purchase one of these shirts in one of the colors. It's either black or it's white. And it's on and popping from today. And if you purchase between today and Sunday, you will receive a 10% discount. You have to use the code
VISION
when you go on there to get that discount. So make sure y'all go on there. I know a lot of y'all been asking about these t-shirts. So you can go on there starting today. After this broadcast.
Don't go now.
Don't go now. Yeah.
We'll know if you dropped off.
Y'all know we be looking.
Oh no, we look.
Because we got vision.
We have vision. Go on our website, www.progressivelybecoming.com. Grab a t-shirt and prayerfully grab a vision as well. Moving right along. Listen, fam, the last few weeks we have been intently discussing the voices of pride. Some of you have been with us the last few weeks doing this conversation series. And last week we concluded the series, The Voices of Pride, and we discussed the voice of dignity. Mm-hmm. We stated that dignity is a healthy form of pride. Mm-hmm. Dignity is a state or quality of being worthy of honor and or respect. It is a sense of pride in oneself. It is to have self-respect.
Mm-hmm. And true dignity is the evidence of generosity towards others.
Absolutely.
Pride is a commodity that we hoard for ourselves. Dignity contains a humility and gratitude that invites people towards us. And pride often exudes an arrogance and egotism that repels people. So pride is when your desire to feel good about yourself is at the expense of others. And it's not factual and it's highly inordinate. It's not healthy. Long story short of, it's not healthy. Whereas dignity is synonymous with healthy self-worth. So this is the difference between pride and dignity. And during that conversation, perhaps you heard where you may have fit in that arena. And pride, as we mentioned, feeds our self-image, whereas dignity nourishes us.
Nourishment.
Pride pumps up our superiority, where dignity contains humility and gratitude.
Absolutely.
And pride is often colored by a self-view of being better than others.
Absolutely.
And dignity doesn't require comparing ourselves to others. So hopefully we were all able to identify that voice of pride in our lives, because when we first got started, you probably thought you wasn't a prideful person. as well as I. But along that route, I found out that I had maybe a little bit of arrogance.
Yeah.
In me.
It was really a series of self-discovery, rather self-awareness.
Right.
We became aware about ourselves in ways that perhaps we didn't want to admit to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And as we said a few weeks ago, all of us, whether in our behavior and our speech, in our decision making, and even in our thoughts, all of us, if we are honest with ourselves, all of us believe in some area of our lives, speech, behavior, thought, or believe that we are better than. And that's the sad reality. It's true. We do it intentionally or unintentionally, subconsciously or consciously. Right. We believe that we are better than. Our money makes us better than. Our status makes us better than. Our relationships, our contacts makes us better than. The number of views we have on social media, the number of comments we receive makes us better than others.
Right.
It's within us.
Right.
Right. The key is not allowing that arrogance to take over our lives, and primarily knowing that it exists. And so when it rears its ugly head, because it will, we learn the tools and strategies to put that baby back in check.
Right.
Pride is a voice that goes against God. It says, God, I don't need you. Mm-hmm. And you can never progressively become the individual, the husband, the father, the mother, the co-worker, the employer. You can never become the person that God has ordained and intended for you to become if you do not address the voice of pride and arrogance in your life.
Right.
We have to dispel it.
Right. So we have to silence it.
Silence the voice.
So if you haven't, just be aware, mm-hmm. and then work on silencing.
Yeah. We got some working on to do. Would you look at your neighbor and say, God is not through with me yet?
Work.
Yeah, see, now that's she had work. She was in the club yesterday. Y'all keep praying for her. Keep praying for her.
Anywho. Yeah. So, over the last few weeks, we've been talking about this for a while mm-hmm. now, and we are so excited. So it's November, y'all. And y'all know what that means. Yes. So it's time to talk about relationships.
Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation. I've been waiting for this.
Yes.
It's time to talk about relationships on PB.
Yes.
Progressively becoming and TPOE, the Place of Exchange Worship Center. We will center our conversations and our teachings on God's design for our relationships. I want to give you kind of a sneak peek as to what you can expect in the upcoming weeks as we dig into this relationship series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna address some pastor.
She's lost.
Oh.
Yeah. So we had a commercial. It's not working, so we're going to just verbalize our commercial. She clearly didn't get the cue. She's not paying attention.
I'm sorry. I wasn't paying. Wasn't paying attention. I'm waiting for the video that I did. That was actually great.
We'll put it up later.
So anyway, the conversation series will be focusing on the Relationship Playbook. Yeah. So it's going to be all things relationships. How can we achieve God's purpose in our interaction with others? Yeah. So the first thing we're going to start off with is addressing and discussing the word relationship itself. So we will address all types of relationships. And during the course of these weeks, we're going to bring some of our PB friends along to assist us with some of these discussions. Mm-hmm. So we would talk to parents with their children. We're going to talk to married couples. We're going to have some that's been married for a while, some that's, just starting out in their marriages. And we're going to really dig into the tension that these relationships can cause, and also the blessings that we can experience from it. And we're also going to be addressing the elderly and the caretaker relationship, because this relationship can be misunderstood by both parties, by the caretaker and by the elderly person. So we will have a friend or two come on to help us with that conversation as well. So this includes the unfortunate effects of disease and sicknesses in our relationships. And during that engagement and during that discussion, we are going to raise awareness on dementia and Alzheimer's. Now, that is a topic that's very sensitive and very near and dear to our heart, because we do have my dad who's dealing with Alzheimer's. So to speak on that is really important, and to raise awareness on that is very important. So
I'm sorry to cut you off, because
see,
I wasn't advocate. I didn't say this because the relationship changes,
right?
Or should I say how that interaction goes? Sickness and disease has an impact on relationships and how that interaction plays out. And I think it's critical that we bring people that have dealt with it, so that unfortunately, if you are someone that may be dealing with it, can see how that relationship goes, and prayerfully, just get some advice and some knowledge on how to navigate relationships going forward. So that would be a conversation that will be loaded when we talk about Alzheimer's and dementia.
Right. So make sure you guys stay tuned, because during this series of relationships, we are going to address it all. So they're going to be powerful. They're going to be impactful. They're going to be great. And y'all know how me and Jamel do it. It's going to be no holds barred.
Uncensored.
So we are going to even be talking about fake friends.
Yeah, we're talking
backstabbing friends.
Yeah.
And y'all know how we are sometimes. So we may even talk about you.
We're going to talk about
So we may talk about you.
we are going to talk about
We may talk about you, Sister Nancy. We may talk about you, Kamisha. We may talk about you, Tiffany, Alicia. We may talk about... Oh, no. We just joking. No, not really. So, without further delay, we are going to introduce and talk about the Relationship Playbook. We're also going to mention about the pastor and the parishioner relationship. We're going to address the employer and the employee relationship, the mentor and the mentee relationship, community and government relationship. So, like I said, we're going to hit all avenues of this relationship, no holds barred. So, yes, we are going to be talking about it right here. So, y'all make sure y'all be locked and loaded every Tuesday with us at 7.
So what is relationships? Relationships is the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected. It is the state of being connected by blood or by marriage or by experience, because experience has a way of joining people together. Relationships is the way in which two or more people or groups regard and behave toward each other. Now, I have a fascination with words. I love the meaning and behind words. So the word relationship is made up of the word relation and ship. Relation, the root word for that is to relate. Relate means to bring back, right? So relation means a bringing back. It is a restoration that's happening. Whereas the word ship is a condition of being. It is the state of being. So in essence, the word relationship means to bring back, to restore a condition and or a state. Progressively becoming is designed to help individuals become the persons that God has called them to be in every areas of our lives. As we said it before, the life pie. We want to discuss how can we become the person God wants us to become in the areas of our body, our vocation, our resources, our character, and our relationship. What is God's design for us in the area of our relationships? And I'm almost certain that most of you, when you hear the word relationships, you immediately jump into some type of intimacy.
Right.
But there's so much more to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, like in previous conversations, when we discuss relationships in the purpose pie, we're talking about basic type of relationships.
Yes.
So it's family, friends, acquaintances, romantic relationships, situational relationships,
complicated relationships. Grab your paper. This is going to be a note-taking kind of conversation.
Right. And there are also like subtypes of each of these relationships. So, for instance, like family relationships. This can be a connection with people by blood, by marriage, by adoption.
Absolutely.
So like the parent, the child, the aunt, the uncle, niece, and nephew, we cousins, my stepmother, stepbrother, that type of thing. So that's what we mean when we say family relationship.
Yeah.
Friends, we're talking about like platonic friends. And platonic just means the absence of romance. So you may have like a platonic relationship with like your friend or your coworker or like somebody you work out with or any person that has like value in your life.
That's good. Yeah.
So that's what we mean when we talk about friends.
Absolutely.
Now, acquaintances is someone who is known but is not considered like a close friend.
Yeah.
So for example, someone that you see at like work or maybe someone that you interact with at school, but you never bother to see them outside of those situations. And it can be like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
So that's also what we consider like acquaintances.
And we have a lot of those.
Yeah, I always say I have like a lot of acquaintances, not so many friends.
Yeah, because we can often confuse friend and acquaintance. But yeah, if you look at it, you'll see that you have a lot of acquaintances and unfortunately few, or should I say, not so many friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you also have those what we call like location-based friends.
Can you put that in the chat? Location-based friends. I think this will help somebody. Location-based friends. What is that?
And generally what that is, and what I've learned what this is over the years, it's pretty much that we're friends as long as we're in the same location. So for instance, we work together and I see you every day for years and we're talking and we're friends. Well, at least we think we're friends. But then if one of us moves out of that location, so no longer I'm at that job, then the friendship dies. No longer are we talking. No longer do we see each other. And that's what location-based friends. As long as we're in the same location physically, then we are friends. Once one of us deters from that location, we no longer are friends.
And it brings into question the strength of that friendship. Do we have to remain physically in the same place in order for us to remain friends? And all of us, from elementary school to junior high school to high school to college, how many of us, when we graduated high school or college, we said these words? We're going to keep in contact.
In touch. Yes, we're going to keep in touch.
And I mean, they was your good friend.
Yes, absolutely.
And eventually, you went your way and they went their way, right? So, so it's an issue of location-based friends, and you just have to know that, and we'll discuss that later on.
And like I said, that's something that I learned over the years because I've had friends that I worked with like for years, and we were here, there, everywhere. But as soon as I left, it's like the relationship fizzled. Yeah. And even though we said, we're gonna keep in touch, we girls, we gonna hang out, we gonna get together. That did not happen. But there are what I've learned is these are location-based friends, but for me, I have a friend that we don't live in the same state. And we became friends very recently. And I consider her a friend. So even though we don't see each other all the time, we don't talk every day, she's my friend nonetheless, because it doesn't matter where she is. It doesn't matter where I am. We're in two totally different states. We don't see each other a lot. But when we do, it's like we've known each other forever and there was no time in between. The location-based friends is when I leave or when you leave. That's it.
Yeah. And Tiff, I agree with you. Some of us have friends that we've had since the 9th grade. I have a friend that, I've had since, the 6th grade. Like, still friends to this day. But as Alicia put in the comments, you got to know the difference between a location best friend and not put that friend in the wrong category. We're going to talk about categories because if you I'm not going to go there. Way before topic. What else we got?
So we have also romantic relationships. So that's the feeling of love and attraction through intimacy, commitment, and infatuation. So romantic relationships include dating, cohabitating, and partnered couples.
Shacking up.
In the words of Bishop Watts,
shacking up.
You have your family background, your values.
No judgment here. No judgment.
Physical attractiveness and your communication styles.
No judgment.
It influences our attractions and selection of our romantic partners.
Yeah.
So passionate, compassionate, and romantic love and sexually influence relationships. So that's what we mean when we say romantic relationship. Work relationships is pretty simple. Your employer to employee or employee to employee. That's pretty much what we mean by work. Situational relationship. It's a romantic relationship that's undefined and uncommitted. It may be based on convenience or short-term circumstances.
Can you give that definition again?
So it's a romantic relationship that's undefined or uncommitted, and y'all know what that means.
Yeah.
Them coals. Anyway, it may be based on convenience or short-term circumstances.
Yeah.
And every relationship that you have in your life will be defined by certain characteristics.
And why is this important? Why is this important? Here it is. It goes back to a comment Alicia made. It is the importance and power of placement. Can you put that in the comments? I want you to grab a pen. I want you to text this to yourself.
Yes.
The importance and the power of placement.
Absolutely, Kamisha. Friends with benefits. Yeah. That's what that is.
That's what that is.
That's exactly what that is.
The importance and the power of placement. Placement is the action of putting something or someone in a particular place. Every relationship in your life must be placed correctly. The worst thing you can do is place a relationship where it should not be. Because every relationship in your life has its own designations and purposes.
Right.
I need to say that again. Every relationship in your life has its own designations and its own purpose. The location-based friends should not be placed in the same placement as the best friend, or just a friend for that matter. And this placement, for some of us, may only be brought on and learned by experience. The reality is I believe all of us have been through experiences with relationships in our lives that we know the dangers of placing people and groups and placements that they should not be in. And when something happens, we learn from that experience and we say, hey, you know something? Have you ever made this comment? I'll never give you that much access to me again. You have got to learn that every relationship in your life has its own designation and its own purpose. The mother and son relationship, the father and daughter relationship, the pastor and the parishioner relationship, the employer and the employee relationship. Every relationship has its own designation and its own purpose. And there are some relationships that are seasonal. And there's nothing wrong with seasonal relationships. The wisdom behind seasonal relationships is understanding when that season is over.
Yes. Right.
Not to say that person is discarded or that relationship is thrown in the garbage, but perhaps that relationship, the designation, and the purpose has to change because that season is over.
Right. And that could be hard to swivel to that.
Absolutely.
Because it may be someone that you've been friends with for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now that relationship is different. It looks different. And it's different from what you're used to with that person. And you look at it as, oh, I'm losing the friend, or we're not as close as we was, but maybe that season of that friendship is over. And now you just have to deal with the new type of friendship or lack thereof that you have with that person.
And being able to adjust accordingly. Listen to what the scripture says. There's a scripture that says, to everything there is a season and a time, and for every purpose under heaven. Some seasons last longer than others, right? But a seasonal friendship will end just the same. As much as a season may be needed, there also comes a time for it to change. Some relationships, here it is. There are some relationships in our lives that are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you must know the difference.
That's good.
Is this relationship seasonal? Is this relationship for a reason? Or is this relationship for a lifetime? You know, for me, is that I've had to learn that as seasons of my life change, there's the importance that I gain new relationships. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with relationships, the statuses of certain relationships changing.
Right.
We spoke about the maturity series a while ago. We spoke about the maturity series a while ago. And, you have to mature and be mature enough to know when things change and when seasons change.
Right. And that part could be like a little difficult.
Yeah.
And you may have a little resistance to it because you may not want that.
Yeah.
But you may have just to adjust and realize again that maybe that part of my life with that person is over.
Yeah. Or it just looks different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a situation like that now. Like, I've had a friend that we was, really close over the years, and now it's just, it's just different. And for me, it took me a while to, get adjusted to that, because for me, I didn't want that type of change. Yeah. But I knew that it was necessary.
Say that again. I was waiting for you to say that word. It was necessary.
It was necessary.
Yeah.
And
necessary for you. For you.
Yes, for me. It was necessary for
Absolutely,
me.
Yeah.
Because in the interim, in the in-between,
absolutely,
it was hurting me.
Absolutely.
And so it was necessary for me.
Absolutely.
And now that relationship looks different for me, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I know that this season is different now.
Yeah.
And that relationship just looks different.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that.
I will never forget Bishop Watts. He preached a sermon years ago, and he talked about scaffolds. And, if you go out, especially in cities or building new homes, they put a scaffolding. And the scaffolding is necessary for the development and the construction of any building. Mm-hmm. And there are some people in your life that is just scaffolding. Love them the same, embrace them the same, yet know the designation. Because once you have matured and once you have gotten to the place where God desires you to be at, that scaffolding comes down. You don't forget the scaffolding. Right?
Right.
But you realize, I don't need that any longer. You are thankful for what it gave you. You are thankful for what you learned from it. You are thankful for how you was able to mature and grow from it. But you reached a point in your life, not that you're better than, not that you're grand, not that you have arrived, because we have not.
Right.
It's just the particular season that I am in now. I've realized that was just scaffolding.
Right.
It was necessary, as Sharon said, it was necessary for my growth. And you've got to make that the decision the intentional decision in your mind. Am I going to grow, or am I going to be stagnant by my refusal to adjust as change comes into my life?
Right.
Because if you don't adjust, if you don't pivot, if you don't make the necessary adjustments to move and to shift as change comes into your life, you'll be stuck for a lifetime. In relationships, listen to me, because it is a matter of the heart.
Right.
Because relationships is a matter of the heart. It can be difficult for us to let the scaffolding go once you have grown to that place God wants you. Because now your heart becomes attached to it.
Right. That's it. That's the heart.
So am I mature enough to move where God wants me to be, even though my heart is calling me to stay? And some of you may be like, oh, but you need to listen to your heart. There's a great potential that the heart is so deceitful that it can trick you because your emotions are involved.
Right.
And you got to say, am I going to listen to how I feel, or am I going to listen to the leader in the voice of God? And perhaps there's somebody on this live this morning that may free you today. This evening, that may free you today. Am I going to listen to God's voice, or am I going to be led by the emotions of my heart?
And like Alicia mentioned, it's like sometimes y'all mindset are different. You know, you can start off in one direction as friends, and then you realize that you two are going in two separate directions, and that's okay too.
We grow and mature.
It's okay.
But you got to know when to separate. Because if not, this is what will happen. You'll go this way, and then I'll go this way, and guess what's happening? Ain't nobody going nowhere. Relationships ain't going nowhere because you trying to move them your way, and they're trying to move you their way. And for years, 10 years now, you're stuck. The relationship is stuck. The love is stale. The honey dried up. The moon went down. And you're like, where are we going with this? Because nobody wants to make the necessary adjustments to shift. Throw that in the comment. It's time to shift. It's time to pivot. It's time to move. It's time to grow. It's the Relationship Playbook.
It's the Relationship Playbook.
So, with that being said, how do we characterize, and we got to go? Wow, we have to go like now. All right, we got like 4 minutes. How do we characterize relationships?
So we have impersonal relationships and personal relationships. So an impersonal relationship is formed with another person in order to satisfy a need or a goal. So for example, when we interact with a cashier at a grocery store, we are typically engaging in an impersonal relationship because we're in there, they have something we need, and we're going in there to get.
Correct,
And conversely, a personal relationship is one in which people care about each other. So they share at least some personal information and meet at least some of each other's interpersonal needs. So 3 interpersonal needs that most people often share are the needs for inclusion, needs for control, and for affection. And the reality of it all is that people begin relationships in order to satisfy one or more of those needs. So again, inclusion,
that's good.
control, and for affection.
All of us start relationships because of one of those reasons. Inclusion, control, or affection. If you look back over your life, and I'm not just not talking about intimate relationships. I'm talking about all relationships in your life. The ones that you did, the ones that you could not control. Talk about the voluntary relationships, and we'll talk about the difference. But if you look at all of those relationships that you chose to be a part of, it was because of inclusion, affection, and control. They met a part of that for you, and you met a part of that for them.
Right.
Inclusion, affection, and control.
Right.
Interpersonal relationships.
And this is important to know. So
Yes.
impersonal and personal, because incorrect placement, as we just talked about, of a relationship can be very damaging.
Absolutely.
So is this just in passing, or does this relationship share our needs for inclusion, control, and affection?
Is this just a fling? Or does this relationship share my needs for inclusion, control, and affection? I know you don't want to admit this, but all of us in our life need some element of inclusion, control, and affection.
It's true. It's true.
And does the relationship that I'm about to engage in satisfy my need for that? Or is it just in passing? Because you cannot ignore the needs you have in any relationship.
Right. We all have it.
Because if you do, and I think Sharon said this, it'll become one-sided at some point, it'll become one-sided.
One side. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You not addressing what you need. It's all about what you need, and not about what I need too in a relationship. So, and again, it's not just intimate relationship. Like we talked about before, it's with acquaintances as well, friendships. It's like, I believe it's, a give and take kind of thing. It's not, I'm not giving, and I'm not getting anything back, because now that relationship is one-sided.
And I love how you put that. And we got to go, but it's necessary that you view relationships through that lens. All types, as you said, not just intimate, but employee-employer relationships, caregiver-caretaker relationships, pastor and parishioner relationships, church and you relationship. Is it meeting my need for inclusion, affection, and control? Because all of us have it. Stop ignoring what you need.
Right.
Because you don't think that you're worthy to receive it.
That's good.
Let's dismiss that this evening. I will no longer ignore what I need, because I feel as if I am not worthy to receive it.
That's good. Wow. That's good.
Wow. Because we get stuck there.
We do.
And I'm just not talking, I'm talking from experience. Listen to me here. We're talking from experience. Where we ignore what we need.
Right.
We ignore our need for affection and control and inclusion. We all have it. Don't ignore it.
Right.
Embrace it. Make sure it's positive, nourishing, and life-giving, right? And if that relationship doesn't satisfy those needs, then perhaps this isn't the relationship for me. And you got to be okay sometimes to, and we got to close on this, is walk away.
Walk away.
Thursday, 6 a.m.
Yes. We don't mean to leave y'all there, but our time is running out.
Wow.
And we want you guys to come back next week. So we'll pick this up next week, talking about voluntary and involuntary characterization.
This week, let's just do this. I want you, in your mind or in your private time, I want you to go through all of the relationships in your life. And you don't gotta like name it, like person to person, but just the types of relationship in your life. And I want you to ask yourself those questions. Does it satisfy my needs? Mm-hmm. Right? Have I placed this relationship in an incorrect placement? Right. Do I need to adjust the placement of this relationship based on its designation and its purpose? Mm-hmm. Has the purpose changed? Has the designation changed? That way you can get a view of the many relationships in your life and become aware. We always talk about the issue of being aware of where you are. Right? So that you can make the necessary adjustments. And we're going to talk about that next week. How to pivot from relationships that no longer satisfy the needs that you have. Right. And I think that's it.
And some of them you may have to cut off, but some of them may just have to be readjusted. Like Jamel said, just put in a different placement. They may just be out of place right now. Yeah. And you just need to put them in the right place and in the right order so that you can move to the next phase of that friendship or whatever that relationship is.
Eliminating your emotion. Right? Removing your heart from it and solely basing that new designation on what God is telling you to do and how God is telling you to move and what's necessary for your purpose in its totality. Right? But yeah, we'll talk about that. Yes, Alicia. Some of them just need to go. I think I gotta let it go.
Let it go. Looks like another little TKO. Y'all, we will see y'all Thursday, 6 a.m. morning devotion. Y'all be here bright and early. Early will we seek thee. Make sure y'all tune in Thursday, 6 a.m. right here. We love y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. Take care.
Take care, guys.